Hey y'all, welcome to West Texas 3D Printing, tutorials curated by nerds, delivered by your favorite avatar, Lulu. The AMS and AMS Lite make multicolor and multi-material printing easy, but when they misbehave, you can get grinding, failed feeds, or mid-print errors. Let's walk through how the system works, the most common problems, and the exact order to troubleshoot them. First, how the AMS works in simple terms. Filament sits on spools inside the AMS. Each spool feeds into a PTFE tube that leads to the printer. Feed motors push and pull filament through that tube, while sensors track position, movement, and tension. Any problem along that path can cause jams, grinding, or load errors. Now the most common symptoms. Grinding or clicking sounds from the AMS. Filament load failed messages. The printer saying filament is out when the spool is full. Color changes failing mid-print. Or filament getting chewed, flattened, or shaved. All of these usually point to friction or misalignment somewhere between the spool and the hot end. Let's start at the beginning of the path, the spool. Make sure the spool rotates freely. If the side of the spool rubs the AMS case, friction increases. If filament is wound tightly over itself, it cannot. Avoid cracked or warped spools, and use spool adapters if the core size is odd or too small. Next, the filament itself. Check for flattened spots, gouges, sharp bends, or damaged sections. Cut past any damage. Always trim the filament tip cleanly at an angle so it feeds smoothly. Now the PTFE tube. Remove the tube and inspect it. Look for kinks, tight bends, crushed areas, or internal wear. Any sharp bend increases friction. Make sure the routing from the AMS to the printer is smooth. No hard 90-degree turns and nothing pinched behind the machine. Replace worn or permanently kinked tubes. Now the AMS inlet and outlet points. Filament can catch at these transitions if the tip is rough or oversized. Trim the filament end cleanly and avoid thick blobs left over from previous prints. Next, the feed gears. Open the AMS lid and watch the drive gears during loading. If the filament slips, the gears may be dirty. Filament dust can build up on the teeth. Clean them with a soft brush or compressed air. Do not use oil or lubricant. If you're using very soft filament like TPU, the AMS may struggle. Some flexible materials are not recommended for AMS use and work better on the side-mounted spool holder. Now humidity and filament condition. Wet filament swells slightly and increases friction inside PTFE tubes. In humid rooms, even enclosed AMS spools can absorb moisture. Dry the filament and try again. You'll often hear less grinding and see smoother feeds immediately. Next, filament type. Rough, matte, glitter, or textured filaments have higher surface friction. If a filament jams in the AMS but works fine on the side spool, surface texture is likely the issue. Dry it thoroughly or reserve it for direct feeding only. Now let's talk about error isolation. If you get repeated filament load failures on one slot, follow this order. First, test a different spool in the same slot. If the problem disappears, the original filament or spool is the issue. Second, test that filament in another slot. If it fails in multiple slots, the filament is the problem, not the hardware. Third, inspect the PTFE path for that slot and make sure nothing is twisted, swapped, or crushed. If grinding marks appear on the filament, the drive gears are spinning, but the filament isn't moving. Friction is higher than the drive force. Cut past the damaged section, inspect the tube and guides, reduce spool tension, dry the filament, and don't keep forcing reloads without fixing the cause. For AMS Lite specifically, make sure the unit sits flat and stable. If it's tilted or moved during printing, drag and tension change and cause feeding issues. Also check the entry angle into the printer. Steep angles and sharp bends increase drag. Now let's summarize the troubleshooting order. Step 1, check the spool. Free rotation, no knots, no rubbing. Step 2, check the filament tip. Clean cut, no blobs, no bends. Step 3, check the PTFE tube. No kinks, no sharp bends, replace if worn. Step 4, clean feed gears, brush debris, don't lubricate. Step 5, dry the filament, especially PETG, TPU, and nylon. Step 6, compare behavior across slots and spools to isolate the issue. Step 7, reserve difficult filaments for side spool printing instead of AMS use. If you follow this path, you can isolate almost any AMS or AMS Lite feeding problem without guessing. The goal is a smooth filament path from spool to nozzle, with friction low enough that the AMS never has to fight. Once everything is clean, dry, and aligned, AMS feeding becomes reliable and invisible again. Thanks for watching from all of us at West Texas 3D Printing. Yes, even me, Lulu. Like, subscribe, and keep turning chaos into clarity.